Common knowledge versus common sense.
Hi, I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
This is the DIY Detail Podcast. Today we're going to dive into what's considered common knowledge and then look at the logic behind that common knowledge and maybe realize that it's not really common sense.
We're not talking about politics. We're not talking about religion. We're talking about car detailing.
Right, which can be just as divisive.
Exactly. So that's what we're going to talk about today. What is the thing out there that appears to be common knowledge, right? It's sort of, conventional wisdom. And then what's your take on it, Ivan?
Well, let's start with the basic, washing. And some people think you can't wash a dirty car with rinseless wash.
Well, are you not using a hose? What? Tell me more.
Rinse less, not rinsing. So rinseless washing is a technique in itself. And rinseless washing, it's new to the industry. I know it's only been around since the 80s. It's not that, it's not something that just happened last year. It's been around for a long time. But people try to adapt technologies that they know, like washing with a wool wash mitt. We haven't washed with wool wash mitts for a long time, but some people you can still buy them and people still use them. They're a nice way of scratching cars. But at the same time, there are advances that help everything. And technology is there to help us not only in our daily lives with cars and electronics and all that, but also in detailing. And Rinseless is one of those technologies that has helped many. Now, I'm a firm believer that if you're a professional detailer, you shouldn't use soap. It's a waste of time. Anything that soap can wash, Rinseless can wash just as well and sometimes better.
And in less time.
In less time.
Using less water.
Right.
Fewer steps.
Right.
Because when you do the rinsing, you do it in between the rinseless or the chemicals, but after the contact wash, you don't need to rinse. And that saves you a lot of time.
That saves a lot of time, and the rinseless wash is more of a precision wash. You can see what you're doing. There's not a lot of suds in the way. But a lot of people that haven't tried a rinseless wash are skeptical, to say the least, and they're afraid of it because it's different than what they're used to. Remember when you first saw color TV? Oh no, you never grew up with a black and white TV. Remember when you first saw a cell phone? That was like, oh, what's this thing? The big brick, all that. But anyways, now everyone has one. It's now a common thing. Rinseless washing is getting to that point. When we talk about a rinseless wash, we always get well, what about the truck covered in mud? Would you take your soapy wash mitt to that mud-covered truck without rinsing it off first? The answer is no. Use some common sense and some logic, and rinseless will be just as safe, if not safer, than a traditional soap wash. And I say traditional, like I say, it's been 40 years since we've been using rinseless, so.
Common knowledge says never use a sponge on car paint.
Again, common knowledge versus common sense. So, in the 80s, in the 70s, we'd use the dish sponge from under the kitchen sink. That was a good way of scratching a car. But now we have engineered sponges designed specifically for washing your vehicle. And they are marvels of engineering. They're so simple. And that's the fun thing about engineering. Engineering tries to simplify things as much as possible. That simplification means it's doing work that no other wash media can do. Because what the sponge does, a sponge wants to absorb. It wants to lift. What it's doing is, we take the sponge on the verge of dripping. We're not taking a sopping, wet, soaked sponge to the car. We're taking one that's almost dry, just on the verge of dripping. When we're running it over the pre-soak, whatever pre-soak we've used, could be soap, could be a rinseless wash, it's actually absorbing the dirt into the sponge. But a sponge is an amazing thing. When it gets flooded, it wants to release everything. When it's dry, it's trying to suck things up. It's trying to soak things up. But as soon as you flood it, it relaxes and releases everything. That's what's happening. So in the wash bucket, it's releasing everything. That sponge, we can take a sponge covered in crud, touch it to the surface of our wash bucket, lift it back up, and it's clean. That is because of that flooding action and how the sponge works. And there's open cell, there's closed cell. There's some sponges out there that are too soft, some are too stiff. Some of the pore structure is just completely wrong. But there's a lot of engineering that goes into a proper wash sponge. Now you can buy some cheap ones on bargain sites. They might work for a while, but our wash sponge, the Legacy sponge or the Iconic, They last a long time. They're a great value. Now, one thing that we see a lot of in wash media is the chenille wash mitt. That is probably the last wash media I would use on my vehicle.
Speaking of wash media on your vehicle,
Yeah.
another one I would never use is a brush. I mean, I'm a common knowledge kind of guy. Common sense says never use a brush on car paint.
Wrong. So the brush at the coin-op car wash, I wouldn't use that one. The brush that's been sitting in the garage, hanging on the shelf that your dad used to use in the 80s, maybe not the best brush to use. The truck wash brush, yeah, maybe a little better. But there are brushes out there that exist, like our Perfectly Safe brush or our wheel and body brush, that are designed to be safe. And same as the sponge, they use that flooding technology to grab the dirt, but as soon as we touch it to the wash bucket, it releases everything. And even our wash mitt, so we have a wash mitt, the incredible wash mitt, the microfiber that's in it is a 8713 blend combined with a 7030. There's different strands in there. The 8713 is great at holding moisture, but it's not good at holding dirt, so it releases it well. The 7030 on the surface allows it to glide easier, it's softer. So it's a combination of different strands. Again, engineering working for you. Our wash brush, it has a 3/4 inch flag tip and a flag tip nylon bristle, which is what we have. So it's a nylon bristle, and think of a nylon bristle as this nice solid piece of nylon. And then you flag the end. So the end, instead of being solid, is now all these little tiny fingers. Well, we have 3/4 inch flagging. That 3/4 inch flagging means that you'll never get a hard bristle contacting the paint. And our wash brush, despite common knowledge, is actually the least aggressive wash media we have. If your car has a lot of heavy traffic film on it, you might need to wash it twice because the brush doesn't have enough aggression to break through that.
But here's how we teach washing. You foam on your chemical, you rinse it, you foam it again. So incredible suds, rinse, incredible suds. At that point, all the grit is gone.
There's no grit.
And you're just doing an agitation wash with the brush. So that should be enough cleaning power and steps built in. Or
Yes.
it's rinseless, rinse off. Rinseless, contact wash, right? So there's steps in our process that build in a lot of room for variables like, hey,
Yes.
it's a very dirty car.
Right.
Well, we told you to foam, rinse, foam first. So when that brush hits paint, and hopefully it doesn't hit paint, but when that brush goes on paint, it's not driving anything in that the paint can't handle. It's the most safe way to agitate and remove that traffic film is by pre-treating it, rinsing it, pre-treating it, and then using your wash media. Whether it's a brush or the incredible wash mitt or the legacy sponge.
Right. But like I said, a chenille wash mitt is probably the last one you want to use. And even below that is a microfiber towel. I've seen people washing their car with a microfiber towel. For a waterless wash, I'll use a nice plush microfiber towel like our Freebird 400, but a waterless wash, I'm not going to do it on a dirty car. It's just to remove a bit of dust off a vehicle. That's as far as I go with a waterless wash. A waterless wash, some companies will bill it as, here's this muddy truck, I'm going to clean it with waterless wash and a couple of microfiber towels. That's an exceptionally efficient way of scratching your vehicle. For us, a waterless wash is that little bit of dust that you got at the car show or from sitting in your garage. It's a spray-on, wipe-off using a dry wash media. Rinseless uses a wet wash media. So very different. Some people confuse rinseless and waterless. They're two totally different things.
Now, common knowledge would be you need a specific product for every single use in a car, right? So you get this nice car, you spend a lot of money on it, you need a product to clean the mats. You need a product to clean the interior leather. You need a product specific for windows. You need a product specifically for a ceramic coated car to wash it, right? You need a ceramic coating specifically for wheels and a specific coating for paint. You need a specific product for everything. That's common knowledge, right?
Right, but it's not common sense. So when you look at the engineering behind these vehicles, the clear coat that is on the wheels and the clear coat that is on the paint is the same clear coat. Now, some companies will sell you a wheel coating, and the biggest thing they cite is temperature, because your wheels get hot. Yes, your wheels get hotter than the body of the car, but they don't get hot enough to degrade a ceramic coating. Any ceramic coating worth the name ceramic coating can resist easily 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Most will cite between 12 and 1,500 on their technical literature. your tires start melting at 365 degrees. Meaning that if that wheel is getting hot enough to damage the coating, it's been a long time you haven't had tires on them.
You're in the middle of a volcano.
Yeah, you're not having fun. The other thing is, they'll say, well, the brake calipers. The brake calipers have rubber seals in them. And they have a liquid that has a boiling point of about 240 degrees Fahrenheit, up to 265, depending on what brake fluid you're using. Again, if your caliper is getting up over 265 degrees, you don't have brakes anymore, because now you have a vapor in there instead of a liquid. And if you understand hydraulics, if you don't understand hydraulics, you need it to be in a liquid form. As soon as it's in a vapor form, you have no brakes, or you have very minimal brakes. That is overheating your brakes. They never get hot enough to vaporize, I hope, for your sake, for your safety, your brakes never get hot enough to vaporize the fluid. Therefore, they're never going to get hot enough to damage a coating.
What about all those other products I mentioned, Ivan? Clearly, you need a product for all of those uses.
Yes. So the dirt on your wheels and the dirt on your tires and the dirt on your car are all the same dirt. Think about that for a little while. Before saying, I need a cleaner for my wheel, I need one for my tires, I need one for my lug nuts, I need one for my wheel wells, I need one for my paint.
Bug guts?
I need my bug guts, yes.
Window cleaner?
Window cleaner.
Leather cleaner?
Yeah, exactly.
Glass cleaner?
Yep.
Are you telling me that there's just one product that could clean all those things?
Rinseless Wash will do all that, or Incredible Suds. Now, on the interior, Incredible Suds, maybe not.
Not a great glass cleaner.
No, not a great glass cleaner. But
I mean, it'll clean the glass.
It'll clean the glass. On the outside, it does a great job. On the inside, it might be a little sloppy to get in there with a wash mitt.
Right.
Yeah. But it'll do the job. It's just not the best alternative. But yes, and another thing, we'll dive into interiors for a second. Do you need a dedicated glass cleaner? We have one. It's great, crystal clear. The reason we have it is because a lot of you wash with soap. So you're not going to be washing your interior windows with soap because it's not practical. It can be done, it's just not practical. If you're using a rinseless wash, you actually don't need a glass cleaner. You have a glass cleaner. It's called the Rinseless Wash.
Super concentrated formula, 4 milliliters to a liter, 256 to 1 capful per gallon of water. It's a bottle. It'll get you a lot of uses, Ivan.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to use that bottle straight, right?
Right.
You're diluting our rinseless wash in
Yeah.
a big bucket, and that solution is something you could dip a sprayer into. There's all kinds of ways you can, mix your rinseless wash bucket and then dip something in there and then have a multi-purpose cleaner.
Right.
For many other reasons.
And the leather in your car, you're actually not sitting on leather. You're sitting on a polyurethane coating over top of your leather. So you're sitting on plastic. The vinyl on your dash, the plastic on your door panels, it's all plastic we're dealing with. So the clear coat on your paint is plastic too. So they're made of metal, but there's a lot of plastic there.
And Rinseless Wash cleans plastic very well.
Very well. Cleans a lot of things.
What about this whole idea that to remove above surface contaminants on your vehicle, you need a clay bar? I mean, that's been common knowledge for a while, right?
Clay bar is an exceptionally good tool that belongs in the 90s. It's been surpassed. It's been surpassed by synthetic clay products. We have our quad-fold perforated synthetic decontamination towel. We'll just call it quad-fold decon towel for short. But what it does is it removes embedded contaminants by plucking them off with a bed of lubrication. That bed of lubrication is ideally some Rinseless Wash or some Incredible Suds with 1 or 2 things added. Our favorite is iron remover because it's going to get a deep clean in there at the same time. Or you can use Envy ceramic detail spray and get 2-in-1. You're decontaminating and sealing your paint at the same time.
Ivan, this feels like kind of the tip of the iceberg. Like there's got to be so many other common knowledge versus common sense points of discussion.
Yeah.
I want to hear what other folks think in the comment section. I like the idea of it's not just us preaching, from the pedestal and we know everything. It's a conversation.
Yes, we want your input. We answer every comment on YouTube, so please. And we also have this great Facebook group. It's called DIY Detail. It's about 60,000 people at the time of recording. Go there, become a member. It's a nice space to ask a question. No one is going to berate you for asking a beginner question because we were all there at some point and we love helping. But back to the clay bar. Many people have this impression that if I use a clay bar on my car, it's all going to be scratched. There's going to be micro marking, there's going to be something there. With a clay bar, I agree with you. With the synthetic decontamination towel and proper lubrication, no marring whatsoever. It's safe. It is a good, safe way of doing it. Again, technology is progressing to make our lives easier.
I think it's pretty common knowledge, Ivan, that if you want to remove defects from paint, you have to compound first, right?
With a DA.
Sledgehammer, and then you want to finish. So you're going to want to use 2 steps. The first step is aggressive. The second brings out the shine. You need 2 steps to really polish paint.
You can do it in 1 step. And 1 step, you're not going to get a lot of correction, but you are going to get a lot of enhancement. And correction is something that was very popular and is starting to go away because manufacturers are making the paint on these vehicles thinner and thinner and thinner. And every time they make it thinner, that leaves us as detailers less margin of error. And every time we're polishing paint, no detailer has ever removed a scratch from a vehicle. We've removed clear coat or paint, if it was single stage paint, down to the level of the scratch. So if you have a scratch that's 10 microns deep, to get rid of that scratch, you actually remove 10 microns of clear coat around that scratch to get down to that level.
It's so hard to understand what that even looks like because clear coat is what, thinner than a Post-it note?
Much thinner than a Post-it note, yeah. Your whole paint system on a lot of cars is as thick as Post-it note, and that is E-coat, primer, base coat, and clear coat. That's not very thick. That's what you're dealing with. And in reality, as detailers in modern times, we're only dealing with the clear coat. If you break through the clear coat, you're repainting.
It's common knowledge, Ivan, I want to get to this, that a rotary leaves swirls. I don't know that even using a rotary is a good idea at all on paint, and if it is, you really want to cut with a rotary, right?
Yeah, we cut with a dual action, we finish with a rotary. This car behind us, look at this gloss. Do you see rotary swirl marks in there? Probably not. And it was finished. Well, I can assure you there are none. But this was finished with a rotary. We use the rotary for finishing, we use the dual action for cutting. The reason for that, the dual action is actually more aggressive than a rotary. But a lot of people don't understand that. And when you do some basic mathematics, it becomes a little more apparent. So for us, our dual action machine is a 25 millimeter stroke, meaning that every part of that pad is doing a 25 millimeter oscillation at all times. And then it has a bit of rotation. That's the dual action, oscillation, rotation. But that 25 millimeter oscillation means that every little grain of abrasive on that pad is going through a 25 millimeter circle 3,000 times or more per minute. Now a rotary, you're turning it at 400 to 800 RPM, somewhere in there. So revolutions per minute. So just like that 25 millimeter going 3,000 times, that 6-inch, or well, 25 millimeters, by the way, is 1 inch. So we can talk in inches here. So that 1-inch stroke or a 6-inch rotation, well, 6 inches at this size going around at 600 or 800 RPM might be giving you 10 meters per second of cut. That 3,000 orbits per minute, that little 1-inch stroke, is actually giving you about 15 meters a second. So you're actually cutting faster with a dual action. A lot of people can't wrap their heads around this, and I implore you to give it a try. And I've tried it with Nick, I've tried it with many other people. I've taught classes where people were adamant that there's no way in God's earth that a DA can cut faster than a rotary. We wet sand a panel. I have one person use the DA, one person use the rotary. The DA always cuts faster. It's mathematics. But as humans, we have this thing called emotions and feelings. And we feel like the rotary is cutting faster because it's always cut faster. The DAs, the original ones, were an 8 millimeter DA. Those do not cut. Trust me. They vibrate, they make noise, they don't really cut. They don't do much. But when you're getting to a 21 or 25 millimeter DA, that's when they start to cut. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, there was an attachment that was sold for the rotary. So you bolted this onto your rotary that converted it to a dual action. The whole marketing spiel behind it, and it was true, this increases the cut of your machine. Had nothing to do with finishing. And Nick, 3 years ago, someone would have told you, Nick, you're going to finish with a rotary. You would have looked at them funny and said, no, it's impossible.
Well, I think it's with all this stuff is you just got to try it.
Yeah.
You just got to get your hands on a polisher and start getting to work.
Yeah.
It's enough of us talking. It's more about you doing the thing. So sometimes you listen to us and you could polish at the same time, right? It's like,
Yeah.
you gotta just get experience, Ivan.
And when you try these things, we're not here saying our way is the only way, because it's not. There's a lot of great ways to detail. But we're just asking you to give it a try before saying, no, that can't work. If everybody in every instance, when anything new came along, said, that can't work, we'd still be driving cars with manual chokes, 3 on the tree, and 0 to 60 times in 15 seconds.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, instead of 5 seconds today. So technology is there to help us. Technology has advanced not only electronics and cars and everything in life, it's also advancing detailing. And at DIY Detail, one of our principles, one of our founding ideas is research and development. We want to advance detailing. We want to make it easier for you, we want to make it more fun for you, and we want to make it safer for you. And that's what we're working for. So every time we show you a technique, sometimes we'll do things that are just for fun and they might take a little longer, but we're also here to make you more efficient. We're definitely here to make detailing safer for everyone and more fun.
We take this very seriously, but the idea is the seriousness is for the smiles. This should be fun. It should be hopefully less time than it used to take, and it should be amazing products. And hopefully y'all have found value in our common sense versus common knowledge discussion.
Exactly. And Nick, there might be another video they might want to watch where we had a little friendly competition. Nick was doing sort of an old school way of things, and I was doing the DIY way.
Yeah, it's a different approach that I got to take than you normally see. We had a little competition, some celebrity guests, and that video is right here.